Yellowstone volcano, the supervolcano, imminent eruption will sound alarm before the cataclysm, meaning before a super eruption, expert warns. While there have been at least 50 minor eruptions, the last super eruption was 630,000 years ago, but 70,000 years ago there was a lesser eruption, and they claim that every 6,000 years or so there is a Yellowstone eruption. Now, Yellowstone volcano will give authorities plenty of warning to prepare a widespread evacuation before an eruption is imminent. This is according to a study of supervolcanoes that has been revealed. This is by Sebastian Ketley Express UK. Yellowstone supervolcano's last eruption, the major eruption, took place an estimated 640,000 years ago when it formed the volcanic caldera which we visit today in the national park. And since then, the supervolcano erupted around 80 times, spewing molten rock, volcanic ash, and smoke. Yellowstone experts estimate the supervolcano erupts anywhere between 600,000 to 700,000 years. We're talking about the major eruptions because since then it has erupted 80 more times. And this has led some to fear the Yellowstone system is overdue another major volcanic blast in the near future. Thankfully, scientists studying past supervolcano eruptions around the globe believe Yellowstone will rumble before it roars back to life. A study led by volcano researchers from the University of Illinois has found supervolcano eruptions are preceded by years of significant seismic activity. A volcano like Yellowstone could take tens, if not hundreds of thousands of years worth of warning signals before it explodes. Patricia Gregg, geology professor of University of Illinois, explained, when new magma starts to rejuvenate a supervolcano system, we can expect to see massive uplift, faulting, and earthquake activity. And she goes on to add, far greater than the meter scale events we've seen in recent times. We're talking on the range of tens to thousands of meters of uplift. Even then, our models predict that the system would inflate for hundreds or thousands of years before we witness catastrophic eruption. So these eruptions that they're talking about here are the extinction level type of catastrophic eruptions. We're not talking about the ones that, the little ones that have happened like 80 times since then. Now, supervolcanoes like Yellowstone do not act and erupt in the same manner as smaller volcanoes, for example, as Mount Etna volcano in Italy. Typically, a volcano is thought to erupt when the buildup of pressure caused by the swelling of magma bursts through the volcano's rocky dome, the roof of the magma chamber. Supervolcanoes, however, tend to be active in areas subjected to significant tectonic stresses. These are parts of the world where tectonic plates are in constant motion, rubbing against one another and pulling apart. Tectonic motions will have an impact on how models predict supervolcano behaviors. Fellow researchers and graduate student Haley Cabanis said, it does not matter if it is extensional, compressional, or shear stress. Any tectonic stress will help destabilize rock and trigger eruptions, just on slightly different timescales. The remarkable thing we found is that the timing seems to depend not only on tectonic stresses, but also on whether magma is being activated, supplied to the volcano. Supervolcanoes can lay dormant for incredible long time periods, much longer than humanity has been around for, and according to Professor Gregg, this can extend into millions of years every time. The volcano expert said, in other words, they may remain stable, doing almost nothing for 999,000 years, and then start a period of rejuvenation leading to a large-scale eruption. And whatever the case may be, Yellowstone is one of the world's best monitored volcano systems. Cannabis said, it is also important to note that our research suggests that the whole rejuvenation to eruption process will take place over several or more than several human lifetimes. In the meantime, Yellowstone earthquakes, and a magnitude 7 would be Yellowstone's biggest threat. This is what the USGS geologists warn of. Again, by Sebastian Ketley on Express UK. Yellowstone erupting is not the only source of worry for park officials, as a major earthquake could actually be the region's biggest threat, or a nearby earthquake. And as we know, Yellowstone is not very far from the west coast. It's only 600 miles, for example, from another supervolcano nearby, the Long Valley caldera of California. And just south of that is the one in New Mexico, the Valles caldera. It's surrounded by supervolcanoes. Besides the fact that the USGS have recently come out saying that it's on a hotspot, that's another issue, and another update saying that the supervolcano of Yellowstone is 2.5 times bigger than what they thought. In other words, the radius goes all the way down to Mexico and all the way up to the Yukon territories of Canada. You can imagine how huge this thing is. So Yellowstone scientists warned the national park and supervolcano complex could be struck by an earthquake, a catastrophic earthquake in the future. Yellowstone Volcano Observatory, the YVO, scientist Michael Pollan, he's the one that doesn't want anyone touching Yellowstone. For example, the recent NASA idea to drill and cool down the volcano in order to mitigate, to prolong any eruption. He says don't touch it because you may accidentally just trigger it off. So obviously because of this, anything having to quake, anything having to disturb it could just set it off, even an earthquake. So Michael Pollan said while the supervolcano could erupt again one day, earthquakes are much more immediate danger. He was speaking to USA Today and he said, the biggest concern we have for Yellowstone is not with the volcano, it's with the earthquakes. It's in an underappreciated hazard in the Yellowstone area. There can and will be the future magnitude 7 earthquakes. The powerful tremor killed 28 people after triggering a landslide next to one of the park's campsites. The earthquake dislodged some 80 million tons of rock and it blocked off a river, creating today's Hebgen earthquake lake in southwestern Montana. Can you imagine? It created a lake because it blocked the water. Now, on average, anywhere between 1,500 and 2,500 earthquakes rock Yellowstone complex every year, but most go unnoticed. It's not that they go unnoticed, they're not reported. They're recorded, but they're not reported. So, there's always earthquake swarms there. In 1959, earthquake remains one of the most powerful to occur in the continental United States. That was the 1959 earthquake. And Dr. Pollan of the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory said, the odds of another such earthquake happening are more likely than a Yellowstone volcano eruption. And he said that's something that happens on a human life scale, and we can say that they are likely to occur, but we can't say when. James Farrell, a geology professor at the University of Utah, warned a magnitude 7 quake today could be much more devastating than the one that happened 60 years ago. The number of daily visitors to Yellowstone are much higher these days, having first exceeded 3 million annual visitors in 1992. A new record of more than 4 million visitors was set in 2015, and the park can accommodate up to 14,300 overnight visitors in the peak summertime. Professor Farrell said it would be a lot worse today with more people in the area. The Yellowstone volcano caldera in Wyoming is one of the biggest and most well-known supervolcanoes on our planet. And as we know, the megavolcano last erupted about 630,000 years ago, and eruptions occur on a 1 million year or so scale. They're talking about the super eruptions, as the previous article said. They've had 80 eruptions since then. I'll leave links below for you for this. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.